8 popular attractions in Budva, according to historian and resident of Montenegro Nikolai Stepanov. The capital of Montenegrin tourism, a concrete monster, what epithets you will not find in relation to this seaside city. The phenomenon of Budva is that it attracts and repels everyone at the same time, from investors and foreigners with permanent residence to tourists. Everyone who comes from Tivat to Budva begins their acquaintance with the Budva Riviera from the Jazz Beach. It is to my right, it is one of the most spacious beaches, and when they ask where to relax in Budva in July-August without people, you can see that Jazz Beach is one of the most spacious, and the part of it that is closer to me, is almost never filled with people. I highly recommend visiting Jazz and enjoying the open sea it overlooks. In Montenegro, Old Budva is distinguished. It is a cozy Venetian city with narrow Italian streets. Its small, but different world is limited by severe fortress walls. You can escape to Old Budva both in winter and summer, there are no crowds, and there are generally fewer tourists in Budva than in the neighboring promoted Old Kotor. And the cozy streets of Budva are full of all kinds of shops and cafes, among which it is easy to get lost and immerse yourself in the atmosphere of the Italian Middle Ages. I always think about what attracts me to Budva, in this case, its bell tower, Campanile. Each Italian city has its own campanile. Such a tradition was in the Baroque or Gothic style, when cities were created. This campanile, it is still illuminated in Budva, and in the evening it has a certain spirit, lighting, bell ringing, which it emits, creates a unique feeling of Budva. Next to it is the Citadel, which we will now see closer. All this, of course, makes Budva unique absolutely against the background of other Dalmatian cities. But all these people live, of course, in the new modern Budva, built at the turn of the 20th and 21st centuries. New Budva is a huge seaside town that grew up next to Old Budva. We can say that the houses here were built and are being built with a view of the Budva Old Town. Budva's walking paths along the beach lead from the Old Town to the Zavola Peninsula. Of course, where there are beaches, there are also restaurants, many of which do not close during the rainy season and are open all year round. We are located near Budva, the capital of Montenegrin tourism, but unfortunately Budva is divided into 2 parts. The first part is Old Budva, a very beautiful, medieval city surrounded by fortress walls. And the new Budva is a concreted monster, which everyone gets into at first. So, in order to escape from these concrete buildings, I advise you to come here, to the Mogren Fortress, which is very close to Budva. You can walk for 20 minutes towards Tivat. If you walk, you will get to this beautiful place. See what beautiful views open from here. There are many shops, and the fortress itself is very interesting in history. It has existed since the 19th century, but it is well deserved to look at the beautiful panoramas here and learn its history. The dilapidated Austrian fortress of Mogren. Budva is the capital of powerful fortresses and defensive structures. It was once a trading city, and the best that such a place can give to merchants and travelers is a convenient port and security. Not a single army entered the fortified walls with battles, governments changed without bloodshed, and the city continued to prosper and receive guests. To protect against the alleged invasions of the Ottomans, in 1860, the Mogren Fortress was built on the cape of the same name, from the walls of which a view of the entire city opens. Thick fortress walls connected 4 bastions, overlooking the sea with their loopholes. The fortress did not take part in hostilities. UE built this just in case. But it was actively used during the world wars of the last century. The Austrians, and then the Italians, stored weapons and supplies here. Then the fortress was abandoned and began to collapse. During the earthquake of 1979, Mogren was badly damaged and today there is little left of its former power. But even this impresses even experienced travelers. Statue of a dancer, Budva, ballerina, dancer, gymnast, she has many names. I'll probably be some kind of anti-blogger, it doesn't have a name. Gradimir Alexic, a sculptor, did not know at all what his sculpture was called when he presented Budva with this beautiful, flexible girl. But one thing I can say, she was only 14 years old at the time of the creation of the sculpture, her name was Olya. And, of course, for those who rub her breasts, I advise you to think 100 times why you would want to do it. I don't know as a guide, I can't even explain why such a belief arose. But she stands in a very beautiful place, a flexible, delicate ballerina against the background of the medieval city of Budva. It looks very beautiful and attracts the attention of thousands of tourists. It is depicted in many guidebooks of the city of Budva. Citadel. Another of the most recognizable sites of Montenegro. Another symbol is the Citadel, also known as the Fortress of St. Mary, one of the most impregnable and largest on the Adriatic coast. The fortress was built in the 9th century, it was supposed to repel the raids of the Ottomans from the sea. Not much has survived from that original fort, part of the eastern wall and the northern tower. It has its own kind of special soul, even in comparison with neighboring Kotor, but the city, of course, has changed several times. Its history dates back to Greek times. Its owners were Venetians, Hungarians came up with it, Yugoslavs completed the construction and, of course, a huge scar on the walls of the old city appeared during the earthquake. On April 14, 1979, there was a powerful Yugoslav earthquake. You can still find the remains, the traces of these upheavals on the towers, including this tower. The Yugoslav engineers, fortunately, repaired everything, but the city remained with a reminder of those difficult times. In the 16th century, the fortress passed to the Venetians, who rebuilt and strengthened it. And the castle received its modern appearance, if I may say so, about a 1,000-year-old fortification, in the century before last thanks to the Austro-Hungarians. The main square of Old Budva is the Salt Square behind me. It is located near the walls of the Citadel, and the Citadel, of course, was completed by all the owners, starting with the Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Venetians. The last to put anything into it were the Austro-Hungarians. The city Citadel is a separate attraction, the entrance is paid. But you wouldn't regret climbing it, a gorgeous view of Budva opens. The Citadel is built in the form of a polygon, which is adorned by fortress walls up to 2 meters thick and up to 10 meters high. Behind the walls there are buildings, barracks, squares, where cultural events, concerts, festivals, exhibitions and theatrical performances are now held. The premises are also not empty. Within their walls there is a luxurious library, the largest in the city, a city and maritime museum with the richest expositions and a cozy restaurant with dishes of traditional local cuisine. Imagine what it would be like to dine in a medieval fortress built before the First Crusades. City Museum. We are located in front of the Budva Museum, the main museum of Budva. Excavations took place here constantly. All treasures are collected in the Archaeological Museum of Budva. The museum was opened in 1962, and excursions began to be held in it only relatively recently, in 2003. The exposition contains about 3,000 exhibits representing the history of the region, starting from the 4th and 5th centuries BC. Yes, there is a lot of archaeological evidence that Budva existed as early as the 5th century BC, and was founded by immigrants from Greece. To see the entire exposition, 1.5 to 2 hours are enough. Here in Budva lives our city freak. Some granny, she decorates her balcony and porch so beautifully in winter and summer that now you can see it. City Embankment. The heart and another symbol of any resort town is the embankment. In Budva, it stretches for many kilometers along the city coast, almost to the outskirts. This is the busiest place. Especially during the summer along the entire promenade there are shops, souvenir shops, a tour desk, cafes and restaurants where you can taste dishes of any cuisine of the world. In the evening, the lights of noisy discos illuminate the area. By the way, in total, a walk along the sea on a comfortable walking path from Mogren Beach to Kameni Beach will take you about an hour and a half. On the way, 2 tunnels will be waiting for you. You will pass along the embankments not only of Budva, but also of the neighboring resort towns of Becici and Rafailovici. The city walls of Budva offer a gorgeous view of the Budva Riviera, the city beaches. Slovenian Beach is the main beach of Budva. Becici Beach is visible in the distance. St. Nicholas with its beaches is such a huge island. But, the beaches in Budva are crowded in summer. Think 100 times where to rest. I do not recommend Budva, unfortunately. Budva, of course, is crowded with people and will not give you enjoyment at this time of year. Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. The most. It is these words that can be confidently added to any epithet that refers to the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Budva. An authentic Catholic church not only in Budva, but also, perhaps, in the whole of Montenegro is located in the old town. But the temple itself looks quite austere, even ascetic. It is a building with 3 naves, a vaulted roof and a chapel attached to the side. The temple attracts not only with its architecture, but with the inside. There is a rich collection of priceless icons. The wall is decorated with glass mosaics and paintings by masters of the Venetian school. The cathedral houses the rarest old books and archival documents, which are regularly exhibited inside the church for everyone to admire. Slavic Beach. Montenegro is a paradise island washed by the blue waters of the Adriatic, a tiny country in which, think about it, there are only more than 100 beaches, many of which are marked with a blue flag. Slavic Beach stretches for more than 1.5 kilometers along the coast of the bay, and there are sandy areas on it, and those strewn with small pebbles. It is full of sun lounges, there are changing cabins, wooden paths to the Braboi Strip, massage stations and even free Wi-Fi. Lovers of outdoor activities will find here the usual entertainment, water skiing and parasailing, various attractions, sports grounds for volleyball, ping pong and other outdoor games. If you want to have a snack, no problem, next to the beach on the promenade, there is a cafe with fast food and ice cream. By the way, while walking past the resort villages, you may find that the beaches in Becici and Rafailovici are more comfortable than in Budva. They are wider and more spacious. And the beaches of Becici and Rafailovici are equipped with parking lots adjacent to them. St. Nicholas Island. Another place where you can take refuge during the July heat and the crowds of people who come here in July-August, is the island of St. Nicholas, which is located exactly opposite Budva. Every resident of Budva knows and sees it, even tourists who come here. The first thing that catches the eye is a huge island opposite Budva. Regular boats go to it, and the beaches of St. Nicholas Island are quite comfortable, free. I recommend taking refuge there in the hot summer months. The island of St. Nicholas is in front of Budva in the sea at 1.5 kilometers. By the way, the name Hawaii, an island that is visible from anywhere in the bay, got its name because of the restaurant of the same name, which is located here. And what is its official name? From the Crusaders, who in the 11th century erected a small church on a piece of land. The island of St. Nicholas itself is small, some 2 kilometers long, and it is uninhabited. Moreover, some parts of the island still cannot be accessed, they are closed to the public. So only the sea, the sun, the coastal area with sun lounges, a restaurant, a couple of cafes and an ice cream tray are at the disposal of vacationers, but the water here is incredibly clear and clean, and its color is like on posters advertising expensive resorts. And most importantly, no one walks in search of a free sun lounger and a place in the sun. Just paradise. And the turbulent stories of Budva about the Slavic tribes of Mini, Pastrovici, who, by the way, were subjects of the most serene Venice, resemble local toponyms, as the local militant brotherhoods were called. The names of the resort villages of the Budva Riviera tell us now. Rafailovici, Becici, Bereti, Markovici, Brajeci, Kuljaki. The municipality of Budva is located in the southwest of the country and stretches for 35 kilometers along the coast of the Budva Riviera. It is the largest center of tourism in Montenegro. The total length of the beach in the municipality is 12.5 kilometers. About half of the tourist traffic to Montenegro falls on Budva and the surrounding area. In the city itself, as well as in Bečići, Sveti Stefan, Petrovac and other towns, about 500,000 travelers rest every year. It is not necessary to walk along the cities of the Budva Riviera. Regular buses of the local line Budva Petrovac and Budva Sveti Stefan pass through them. There is a timetable at each stop. Taxi drivers are divided into the so-called grey ones, who are on duty at every turn, and their prices make wallets of any size lose weight, and network taxi drivers with cheaper, approved general fares. They work through the dispatcher. It is more difficult to find such a network taxi. You need to know the phone number of the dispatcher in order to call a car at the right price, but you can easily call such a taxi through a restaurant waiter, hotel employee or just ask any passerby to do it, unless, of course, he is a tourist. Most of the sites of Budva are within walking distance. They can be reached on foot. Among them are the statue of the dancer, the Citadel, the island of St. Nicholas, which can be reached from the beach of Budva by boat, the Mogren Fortress, the Podmane Monastery and others. To see other places, for example, the Rustova Nunnery, the Fortress of Cosma, the Chili Cave in Bečići, you will have to take a bus, rent a car or hire a taxi. Well, that's all. Subscribe to the channel, like if you liked it, turn on the bell notification if you don't want to miss new episodes about Montenegro, and write in the comments what you want us to tell you more about.